Stop borrowing authority. Give me a minute to explain what I'm talking about, but that's the problem with most health and fitness podcasts right now, and you might be doing this. You're interviewing colleagues, you're bringing on the big names, you're chasing the next impressive guest because it feels like progress. Now, don't get me wrong. Okay, I've been in this space for a little while, and I've interviewed some of the biggest names in the health and fitness space, and it was cool every time. Like it was never a letdown. It was always pretty damn awesome. So I get like the whole pull of doing it, and I definitely get why you want that, like the extra credibility boost. Unfortunately, guests don't grow your show, and they might actually be holding your show back. If you want to build a podcast that grows consistently, you need an audience that shows up for you, not for whoever you manage to book that week. Let me show you why that matters more than any impressive guests like that you can ever book. Like, it just blows that way out of the water. So the reason for this is I was kind of like thinking back about content. I was thinking about content, and I was thinking back about some of my experiences, in this world, and it reminded me of something. So I got on a call with somebody in the health and fitness space a few years back, and something just simply wasn't adding up. This guy had everything going for him: a really big YouTube following, a really strong social media presence, a bold voice, and solid information. This guy knew his stuff. He had the audience too. Like, he had the credibility as well. Again, everything looked legit. And when I say this, just keep in mind, like, the name to like results is why it was like kind of throwing me off. Because his podcast was stuck at 2,000 views and downloads per episode. Now, full stop. Okay. I want to reiterate again, for the size and the name of this person's following, that was just simply off. If I ever get 2,000 views and downloads, like I'm not going to like announce it or like brag about it, but there will be signs. Anyways, so we pulled up his analytics, and that's when I saw it. Right? Consistent numbers, but zero growth. So episode after episode, like 1,800 views here, like 2,100 views there. It was just kind of bouncing around like in a straight line, basically, for several months. Like, I think it was like up to a year when he kind of like started to break through, and then it just was like doing this consistently. And anyway, so I'm looking at all of this thinking, like, how does somebody with this kind of a following and these incredible guests kind of get like a flat line of numbers, right? He's bringing on legitimate experts. His production quality is good. His topics are super relevant. Everything looks right on paper. It took me longer than I'd like to admit to figure out what was actually happening. And that's when I saw it. And I was embarrassed, again, because it wasn't very obvious to me from the very start. But he was leaking views. And here's what I mean. Every time he would bring on a big, a big guest, like every episode would bring in new visitors. That part was working, right? So brand new episode, brand new viewer. Someone would discover his show because he'd bring on a really big name. They'd watch that episode, maybe even subscribe. But then the next episode would be with a completely different guest talking about a completely different like diet approach. And they wouldn't come back because they weren't interested in that guest's like approach, right? So just for very obvious things, think like, a carnivore, and then somebody that is maybe, if it fits your macros or whatever, like maybe that's not as good, but you get what I mean, right? Like I'll dig in a little bit deeper here in a second, but like they came for one, and then they were given something different. Very simple. The algorithm had no clue who to serve his content to, since it changed every week. New people would show up, but the people from last week, well, they were gone. And the week before that, same thing. But every week, somebody new would come in, but then they wouldn't stick around again. So you kind of get the idea here. His returning viewer percentage was essentially zero because, again, he gave him no reason to stick around. On the surface, it looked fine. He had a steady influx of new people every single episode. Unfortunately, that masked the real problem. He wasn't retaining anyone. He was just consistently replacing his audience with a brand new one. And again, even though he had a big following, he wasn't big enough to game the system. He just couldn't brute force his way to like grow through sheer volume and like his follower count and these big name guests. Like it simply just was not enough. So if you're sitting there struggling to grow, or you're hoping that the next guest is going to be the one that finally puts you on the map, I need you to hear this and listen up really well. Maybe even turn up the volume. Your guests are killing your growth. Let's dive a little bit deeper into this and let me walk you through what's actually happening when someone discovers your show. So let's put this out there. Let's say somebody finds an episode about fixing back pain in your 40s when you don't have much time to train. I would listen to that episode for sure. Make that episode, send it to me. I'll subscribe right now and I'll follow you. Please. I would love that. Although I'm feeling better, my back's doing good now. But again, I would be really interested because that's my exact problem. So take this fictional, I'm a real person, but you get what I mean? For this example, take this fictional person. That's their exact problem. So they're going to want to watch it. They subscribe, or at minimum, the algorithm noticed that they're interested in your content. So the algorithm starts paying attention. The algorithm is now ready to recommend your next video to this person because they've shown interest in you, right? You now have a shot at building a relationship with this viewer. Then your next episode drops. And it's about the female pelvic floor with a health doctor who specializes in postpartum recovery. All right, so this fictional person, or you could even just use me, they came in for back pain, right? They're not interested in learning about the pelvic floor for women, postpartum. So they're just not interested. They don't watch. The algorithm learns right away and it stops feeding your content to them because they're like, well, all right, well, he was interested in that video, but not the next one. So we're not going to recommend the next one. That's just how it goes. And again, kind of diving further into that, something you need to understand right away is the algorithm doesn't have a soul. The algorithm isn't sitting there like having board meetings with other algorithms trying to figure out how to suppress your content. Is it hard to break through? Yes, but it's not out to get you. It's just matching people who have questions with creators who have answer to those questions. When you answer those questions, it serves you to that audience. When you keep answering related questions for the same type of person, it builds trust with the algorithm. It learns this creator serves this audience. When someone shows up in that audience when somebody shows up to YouTube from that audience, well, then it's really easy for the algorithm to recommend you to them. But when your topics are all over the place, because they're going to depend on whoever you manage to book for that week, you're teaching the algorithm that you're unpredictable. The algorithm doesn't know who you serve because you're consistently like serving everyone, which means you're not serving anyone, right? Hard lesson that I had to learn, unfortunately. The audience that comes for the guests leave once that guest is gone. You're not building anything. You're just renting attention from other people's authority. Let that one sink in. Damn, it's like salt on the wound right there. My bad. I didn't mean for that one to hit so hard, but it did. So I'm kind of happy. But still, you get what I mean. That guest dependency is killing any chance you have at compounded growth. Every episode essentially starts from zero every single time because again, it's a brand new audience. The good thing is the solution is not complicated. You need to be the one on camera showcasing your expertise. To do that, you got to get clear on 3 things: who you're talking to, how to talk to them, and how to help them. That's kind of like some of the core principles that we teach in the Fitness Authority Academy at pursuepodcasting.com, link in the description. The 1-person rule. You're not speaking to everyone searching for health and fitness advice. You're speaking to one person with one specific problem that you have one specific way of solving, or maybe not one specific way, but you get what I mean. You have your way, right? Find their pain points, the things that's keeping them up at night, their frustrations that they can't seem to fix no matter what they try, then solve those pains in your way. You need to be the reason that people return, not a guess. You. Always you. Always you on camera. I push all my clients like, dude, less interviews, more you. But anyway, let's say you book a dope guest. Let's say you book The Rock. For some reason, he agrees to come on your show. If he does, throw me a bone, man. Fuck. I'm trying not to cuss, my bad. Anyways, that would be a massive episode, right? Tons of views. Everyone's excited. Then the next week, the next episode drops. And it's just you talking about like progressive overload for natural lifters in your 30s or something like that. It's almost like The Rock was never there because his audience doesn't care about you or your content. They showed up for him and they left once he was gone. Right? But when you showcase your expertise, when you answer questions for your specific audience in your specific way, something different happens. They start coming back for you. And when something resonates, don't run from it, double down, right? You put out an episode on building muscle after 40 with limited time, and it gets twice the amount of normal views. Make 3 more of that episode, like in a different way, right? But for sure, double, quadruple, whatever the next 5th double thing is, do that. Keep serving that audience and give them what they want, from you. I'm burping up a storm over here. My bad. This is how you build that know, like, and trust factor. Consistent answers to their questions. Your perspective, your experience, your solution. That's how you build that, especially the trust. That's what turns an audience into clients, right? Because of the know, like, and trust factor. When they trust your expertise because you've proven it episode after episode, the natural progression is they want to work with you. They want your program. They want your coaching. They want deeper access to what you know because they feel like they've hung out with you for hours talking about the same thing. You don't need to guess what people want. They're telling you with their watch time, their engagement, and of course, when they come back, right? If you, again, in YouTube, you can see like returning viewers and that sort of thing. It's like returning, or it's like subscribers, casual, and then like new or something like that. Pay attention to those signals and give them more of what's working. That's owned authority. You're not borrowing credibility from guests. You're building it yourself, one episode at a time, with one specific audience that keeps coming back because you keep delivering what they want every single time. Help your people in your individual way. And that's it. It's basically pretty simple. That's the whole game. You don't need big guests to validate your expertise. Should I say that again? Because that's really damn good. You don't need somebody with a bigger following to validate your expertise. You don't need to interview anyone to prove you know what you're talking about. Your results speak for themselves. Your ability to solve their specific problems speak for itself, for themselves, for itself. Owned authority beats borrowed authority every single time, obviously, because owned authority compounds. Borrowed authority just disappears the moment the guest leaves. It's really easy. Focus on what you know best. help that one person and find out what's working and do more of that, and you're going to win. Do all that and just pursue it. Catch you on the next one. Peace.